Motivational interviewing, or MI, is one of those approaches that sounds simple, but the more you use it, the more you realize that it is a whole way of being with people. Over time, motivational interviewing has spread so widely that it's become misunderstood. William Miller and Stephen Rollnick wrote 10 Things That Motivational Interviewing Is Not to clear up the confusion and help us get back to its spirit, which is about compassion, autonomy, and collaboration. So let's go through each of the 10 things together. The first is that NI is not the theoretical model or stages of change, and this is one of the most common mix-ups. The trans-theoretical model, or TTM, explains how people move through stages like pre-contemplation, contemplation, preparation, action, and maintenance. It's a theory of change. Motivational interviewing, on the other hand, is a conversation method that can help people move through those stages. You don't need to diagnose a client's stage to do MI well. You simply meet them where they are, listen deeply, and help them explore their own reasons for change. Miller and Rolnick describe MI and TTM as kissing cousins who never married. They go well together, but one doesn't depend on the other. MI is not a way of tricking people into doing what you want. Sometimes new learners think MI is clever communication strategy, a way to get clients to change. That's not MI. MI starts with the assumption that each person has full autonomy, the right and power to choose. We don't do MI on somebody. We do it with them, for them, but never to them. If a person truly doesn't want to change, MI won't force that. Instead, we help them find their own motivation and voice, not ours. This respect for choice is part of what makes motivational interviewing so ethical and humanistic. It's also why clients say that they feel heard for the first time. Now, motivational interviewing is not a technique. It's not a trick, it's not a checklist, and you can't reduce it to a few steps on a worksheet. Instead, motivational interviewing is a style of communication, one that blends empathy, curiosity, and guiding. Miller and Rolnick compare it to the music behind the words. You can memorize reflective statements, but if the spirit isn't there, then it's not MI. You can think of it like playing jazz. There's structure, but also flow, responsiveness, and soul. MI takes time to learn through patience, coaching, and feedback. Reading a book or attending a single workshop doesn't make somebody proficient. Like any craft, it's built through repetition and self-awareness. And MI is not just decisional balance. You've probably seen or used the pros and cons charts with clients. That's the decisional balance worksheets that we're talking about. And while it can be helpful, it's not the heart of motivational interviewing. In fact, exploring both sides of ambivalence too evenly can backfire. When we give equal attention to reasons not to change, we may actually strengthen sustained talk. MI is more selective. We listen for and gently amplify change talk, the client's own reasons, hopes, or desires for growth. So while a decisional balance can open a conversation, the focus should shift towards exploring and evoking change talk. Another common myth came from research studies like Project Match, which used a version of motivational interviewing called motivational enhancement therapy that included assessment feedback. But MI itself doesn't depend on giving clients test results or charts. It can be done with or without data, because what matters most is the spirit of the exchange, not the handouts or reports. That said, if you do give feedback, MI offers a way to do it respectfully by asking permission first, sharing information neutrally, and inviting the client's interpretation. Motivational interviewing is not cognitive behavioral therapy. Cognitive behavioral therapy teaches clients to identify and replace unhelpful thoughts and behaviors. MI doesn't do that. MI isn't about installing new skills or correcting faulty beliefs. It's about evoking what's already inside of the person. If CBT says, here's a new way to think about this, MI says, let's explore what you already think and feel. In practice, many counselors integrate the two. MI can help a client become ready for CBT by increasing their engagement and commitment, but the core philosophy is different. MI is rooted in a humanistic worldview, not a behaviorist one. And MI is not just client-centered therapy. Carl Rogers' person-centered approach was foundational to motivational interviewing being developed, especially his focus on empathy, genuineness, and unconditional positive regard. But MI adds direction. Rogers focused on understanding a person's world. MI adds an intentional focus on change. The counselor doesn't push, but they do guide. They listen selectively for change talk, statements that hint towards willingness, ability, reasons, or need for change, and reflect them back to strengthen motivation. So MI could be described as client-centered with a purpose. MI is not easy. MI looks simple because good MI feels natural, like a calm, flowing conversation. But beneath that ease is a lot of skill. Reflective listening, asking open questions, evoking change talk, managing resistance all require practice and emotional presence. Miller and Rolnick compare learning motivational interviewing to learning a musical instrument or a sport. Reading about it won't make you good at it. You have to practice with feedback. In short, MI is simple in concept, but not easy to practice. It requires patience, humility, and time. And MI is not what you are already doing. When researchers record and code sessions, self-rated MI skill often doesn't match the actual performance. Most people overestimate how motivational interviewing consistent their practice is. True MI requires intentionality, slowing down, resisting the urge to correct, and letting go of the writing reflex. It's less about giving advice and more about asking questions that help people discover their own wisdom. The goal is to shift from telling to evoking. MI is not a cure-all. It's not meant to fix everything. It's not a universal therapy or lifelong treatment model. It works best for people who are ambivalent, unsure about change. For somebody who's already committed, motivational interviewing can actually slow momentum by over-focusing on exploration. MI is one tool in a larger toolkit. It can stand alone in brief interventions or combine beautifully with other approaches like CBT, ACT, or harm reduction counseling. The spirit of motivational interviewing, partnership, acceptance, compassion, and evocation can infuse any therapeutic style, even when MI itself isn't the main focus. So what is MI? After all that, Miller and Rolnick offered this simple definition. Motivational interviewing is a collaborative, person-centered form of guiding to elicit and strengthen motivation for change. That's it. MI is about honoring autonomy, evoking inner wisdom, and believing that people already carry the seeds of their own change. So think about your own life or your work. When have you tried to motivate somebody, or when has somebody tried to motivate you? Did it feel like partnership or persuasion? What might it look like to bring the spirit of motivational interviewing, curiosity, empathy, and respect for autonomy into those moments?